Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Marketing. My name is Kevin Britz and my wonderful co-host joining me today, Bjorn, as per usual. Bjorn Salzani. How are you, Bjorn?
Hello, I'm so excited. I'm good. And I'm even more excited because we've got an amazing guest on the show, like a really amazing woman that I respect so much. So yeah, I'm super excited.
So to intro today's guest, I'm really cool, and I'm also so excited to chat to this wonderful lady. Today's special guest has become a leading example to businesswomen in South Africa, coming from a humble background to co-founding and running the multi-million rand appliance and electronic retail organization, Hirsch's. Please welcome Margret Hirsch. Hello, Margret.
Wow, namaste.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's such an honor to have you with us. I was just reading on some of your history on your website, and for me, it's always so surprising when you speak to people. But I mean, it's not just having been a leader in South Africa, but you've been doing this for 41 years.
Yeah, it's a long time, a long haul. But you know what? I've loved every minute of it. I love every minute of every day. And I still get up every day and say, wow, I'm going to make today my best day. And I do. And the other day, and I can't believe I packed so much into one day. I did my morning meeting at work. I did an interview with Mark Sham. I did a cooking demo where there was no electricity, no power at all. We did an hour's cooking demo live on Facebook with no power. And the afternoon, I went to do a panty drop to a whole lot of women in a place called Orange Farm outside Joburg, gave them reusable sanitary pads so that they don't have to shop for them, gave their children hot dogs and cold drinks, and still came back and had a dinner that night. It was just amazing. So I pack a lot into each day. I love each day.
Wow.
Margaret, do you sleep?
I don't sleep much. I only sleep 4 hours a night because, as you know, I'm studying. So I work I work all day, and then in the evening I work with my suppliers, and then later on I work on my dissertation, which I'm right at the end of now. Thank you, Lord. And so I sleep from about midnight to 4 a.m. every day, 7 days a week. Yeah.
Wow. I have no excuses. Crazy.
So, to kick off, one of the things that we really want to be we want some insight about is, don't you, Margaret, don't you want to tell us about your history and let the viewers know about you? Because I'm sure creating a multi-million rand store and brand like you have doesn't come with ease and a swing in the whip. There's quite a lot that actually goes behind it. Don't you want to give us a bit of insight from where this all started and how it came about?
Yes, and I always do this not to impress anybody, but to impress upon the people watching that if I can do it, they can do it. Because as you said, I came from humble beginnings. My parents were salt of the earth people. They got married, went to live in Rhodesia in the old days because that's where you could get a job. And they had me and my brother, and they really lived a good life, and everything was going swimmingly. It was like a Milton Boone novel until my father dropped dead when I was 10. It was very sudden. He was dropped dead like that. And my mother was thrown into a world that she couldn't cope. And from there, I vowed, I saw her trying to live through her grief, bring up 2 children, being swindled out of a little bit of money. And I vowed I would never do that. And that started my whole start in women empowerment started then, which I'm actually living my dream now of empowering women throughout not only the country, not only throughout Africa, but throughout the world. So so I saw her go through that, and I thought, I'm never going to be dependent on a man, and I will never ever put myself in that position, which I never did. But then I met my husband, I married him, and when I married my husband, he was 24 years old, he could neither read nor write. And it just goes to show that it doesn't matter where you're coming from. He came from quite a wealthy family, but he couldn't read or write. So he really suffered at school because he obviously didn't pass his standards. And his father said to him, you're never going to get your matric. You have to get a job with your hands. And that I want to inspire the people who know they're never going to get a matric. He would never have got it. He was a chronic dyslexic. They didn't even know what it was in those days.
Wow.
But he went to work with his hands. So if you have no money, you can always sell your skills, and you can always do something with your hands. And that's what I work with women today. They say, I have no education, I have no skills. Well, that's okay, because you can work with your hands and do something. So he became a refrigeration mechanic, and he was fixing fridges. When I married him, he was earning 25 Rand a week. And you notice I said I married him, it was a bit of a surprise to him, but that's how 49 years later, we've been married 49 years, our next anniversary. So,
wow, amazing.
Yeah, we started off really, really small. And that's what I always say to people, start small. Everybody wants to borrow money and start big. Start small and just start plowing the money back. So we started just servicing air conditioners at 45 Rand an air conditioner in those days. And so we started to build up until we started selling, then we started to sell air conditioners, and then we started fixing fridges, and we started to sell fridges. And so it started to gain traction, and we just grew and grew. What is the secret of our success? Fantastic customer service. We looked after our customers. We knew our customers by name. We went back to them. And today, if you're going to get ahead, you have to give beyond the best customer service. Just good is no longer good enough. You have to give the best customer service, you know, if you want to get ahead. So everybody who's out there in a business, if you're not giving fabulous customer service, you know, and going the extra mile, you know, that my phone number is on every single invoice that goes out of Hirsch to say, if you need any help with this product, phone me. Don't tell the rest of the world. Don't go blabbing it all over. This is wrong and that's wrong. Tell me, I care, and I will help you to resolve that issue. And I think that makes a big difference today. Yeah.
That's incredible, wow. Margret. I have to be honest, I don't ever think I've met, I know we previously shared it that your son's taken over, but the fact that your number is still on that invoice, that level of care just really moves my heart. And that's something that I'm going to keep at the back of my mind and going with all the stores, Margret's numbers going out on there. That's incredible.
Well, wow. Also now I've got the time, you know, as you say, I've handed over to my son. He's running the business. He's CEO of the business. And so I have the time now to worry about Mrs. Jones's toast, about Mrs. Kamalo's fridge, you know, about Mrs. Naidu's washing machine. I'm the one who's involved in getting that sorted out. So I do all the nitty gritty, time consuming stuff, and I leave my son there. And we've got a fabulous management team to run the business. And thank you, Lord, we're running extremely well, even through COVID, even though in April we didn't take any money at all. And I think, you know, getting on with our business, I told you a little bit of the start of the business, and then we grew into Gauteng, we went to the Cape, and now we're countrywide. And it is a long haul, you know, but we couldn't do that without a team. So all the people who are in smaller businesses now, start to grow your team from now. You know, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than have an opportunity and not be prepared. And I've seen so many businesses where they've grown, haven't trained anybody else. You can't do everything yourself. If you had to say to me, what's the most difficult thing that you've had to do in business? And I'd say delegate. Because I know I can do it well myself. I do everything myself. I can do the printing, I can do the stationery, I can do the petty cash, I can do the balance, I can do everything. But you can't do everything yourself. And that's where the difference is. You've got to trust people. They never do it as well as you, but if they do it 80% as well, everybody's happy. Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm just sitting in with my mouth hanging slightly open and I'm going, wow. Do you know when you listen to someone who tackles life the way you do, and just in the way that you speak about it, Margret, it's so inspiring. It inspires me to want to be better at what I'm doing. And you know, one of the things I do want to ask is the biggest tips in business that you might have, especially during this time. You know, lockdown has happened. People's you know, living in a big place of fear right now. What are the tips that you could actually give businesses out there and get their brains wrapped around so that, you know, it makes it a little bit easier, or maybe it's a mind shift, or what are some of those things that you've been applying?
Being rich or poor is in the mind. Being successful or not successful, it's all in the mind. It's what you think it is. And you got to understand, you can control your mind. And if everybody's watching who hasn't done the Robin Banks Mind Power course, do it, because it changes your life. Because you understand that you make things happen. Nothing just happens to you. You make it happen. So, yeah, I think in this time, number one is you've got to go above and beyond and give really good customer service. The second thing is you've got to give back to the community. There are a lot of people who are hurting now. There are a lot of people who are struggling now. And we have to think of those people and help them to get ahead, which at Hirsch's we do all the time. Every day we give to charity. We give 10% of all the money we make to charity all the time. And people say, I haven't got enough to give. You have to give, because by giving, you open yourself up to receive. And the other thing that I always say is, you know, you can have anything in life that you want if you help enough people to get what they want. So it's all about helping other people. And there's so many ways that you can help so many people today. So I think that's the crunch of it. But to live through COVID, yes, you've got to get over the fear. As you said, the fear can be consuming, especially if you're watching the television and this fear is coming into you. Now, what is fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. So you've got to work through the fear. You've got to work through it, and you've got to change it, because fear brings lack and poverty, whereas courage brings wealth and abundance. Which one do you want? So you've got to think with courage. You've got to be courageous in this. I will get through this. I am going to do this. I mean, you can't say stop the road, I want to get off. You are going to go through it. You've got to decide which way you're going to do. So you've got to draw on all the courage that's inside of you and know that you can go through and you can be successful. And every one of the people I've spoken to who've said that, changed their mindset, decided, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to be successful. And they just went for it. And you've got to pivot your business. You've got to change. You've got to just do whatever you've got to do. I mean, when we were on level 5, we couldn't sell anything. On level 4, we could sell heaters. We just sold heaters. It wasn't even cold when we sold heaters. Then we could sell cooking appliances. So we sold cooking appliances. We did cooking demos. So people got excited about cooking. And on level 3, we could sell washing machines and televisions. And then it started. And thank you, Lord, our business is doing well now. So yeah, we just, they opened the bottle stores this week, so I don't know that we'll do as well. But for me, with working with a lot of entrepreneurs, which I do, and by the way, I've got a fabulous entrepreneurs course, which I'm running tomorrow. I've got a clinical psychologist who's got 200 counselors working underneath her, because people today don't know what to do. You know, Lifeline said they're having more calls than they've ever had. People don't know what to do. And so people like us can help them to grow them, to know that they can do it and just point them in the right direction sometimes. So her speaking, and I've got action coach. I don't know if you know, South Africa's action coach, Marlene Powell, one top action coach in the world out of 82 countries. I mean, we have amazing people who are guiding businesses, you know, so a lot of businesses don't know which way to go. There are people out there who can help you, you know, and I think people need to know that.
Yeah. Margaret, you raised such an interesting comment, and I liked that how you said in level 5 you could do nothing, in level 4 you could sell heaters, and then you could sell cooking appliances. And then what you did was you went, let's get them excited about business, and you created cooking demos. I have a question. In terms of Hirsch's, as you've developed the brand over the years, do you think that's always been your key success? Is that you've always gone, how do I readapt in the new space? And how do I reinvent myself? Would you say that would be one of your key successes in business overall?
Yeah, I think you have to. I go right back to the old days when we first started, and our little shop was as big as your toilet. We had a fridge and we had a stove and we had a washing machine, and that was it. And then we really discovered a thing called the microwave. And I wanted to show people how the microwave worked, because in the way back in 1980, people never seen a microwave before. So I took it, and we had to put everything out on the pavement. So we put all the stock out on the pavement. I put some chairs down. I put a microwave on the front, and I had a chicken. I cooked a pineapple upside down cake, which only takes 3.5 minutes in the microwave. And from that, we managed to showed people what to do. So I think, you've got to do something different. Nobody had ever done a cooking demonstration inside a shop before. In 1980s, not in a microwave, that is for sure. I started the first ever microwave cookery school in South Africa. It was an independent microwave cookery school, and we taught people how to use the microwave, how to cook in it. And that took us, I mean, at one stage I had 5 cookery schools, and I was doing about 4 lessons a day. So I had friends to help me. We were teaching people how to cook. And that's what gets people interested. You know, motion creates emotion, and emotion makes people buy. So we'd get them in, and we'd be cooking. We'd make their chicken in 20 minutes, the cake in 3.5 minutes, make some fudge in a plastic bowl in the microwave. That's awesome. All bought microwave. You know, every business has got a tipping point. That was our tipping point, which tipped us to be going for greater things. Yeah.
Kevin, doesn't this woman just inspire you? I'm like, after this, I feel like, let's go write a training program. I'm just like, let's do this. Yeah. Crazy.
And so I've got 2 questions that sort of link to each other, Margaret, because, you know, as you talk, nothing seems, you know, the way that you speak about it, nothing seems too big. You know, and often you find people going through situations and creating business or creating or, you know, what am I going to do in COVID now? And they don't know what to do. But it's kind of like your approach is, well, nothing. I mean, how bad can it be? You know, like, is that
you can win or you can fail. And what is fail? Fail is first attempt in learning. So if you fail, it's just, listen, my first attempt at learning, I'm going to go forward, you're going to get it done, you know. And you can do anything. I think you surprise yourself. I surprised myself, you know. I mean, we aimed for our R1 billion turnover. We got it, not 1 million, 1 billion. And then
well
we're
done.
now at on our R2 billion turnover by this financial year. So when you think that our first day's taking was 11 cents, that I started my career in life washing hair in a hairdressing salon for 50 cents a Saturday morning to where we are now. And that's why I tell people to inspire them to. And I spoke to a whole lot of really poor women in a place called Orange Farm, which is to hell and gone outside of Joburg this week. And I said to those women, you don't have to stay where you are. You need to decide, this is the life I want. Look, it's fine. If you want to stay on Orange Farm and look after your children all day, that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. You're not a tree. You're not planted in one spot. You can move. And you can get up and you can go and do something and you can use your hands. I mean, I've got a lady who came to me and she came in running. She said, Margaret, I'm 56 years old. I'm tired of being poor. I've had it. I don't want to be poor anymore. I said, tip out your handbag. How much money have you got in your handbag? She had 30 Rand. I said, what can we do with this 30 Rand? I said, what do you love? She said, I love baking. And that's when we started her with baking. We took that 30 Rand, we bought the ingredients, we baked a cake. We went and sold it for 60 Rand. We came back with the 60 Rand. We had enough to buy ingredients for 2 cakes. We sold them for 120 Rand. We took that 120 Rand. We bought ingredients for 4 cakes. We sold them for 240 Rand. Long story short, today her name's Anna. She lives in Somerset West. She has got a Mercedes-Benz, a double cam bucky, and she's doing a roaring trade now.
Oh, man. That's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I mean, I deal mostly with women, as you know, but anyway, so I had another woman come to me, her name's Memory. She came from Zimbabwe. She ran away. There was no food there. She couldn't feed her children. She arrived in this country with a passport and a blanket and 3 children. And she said, what can I do? I can't go out to work. I've got 3 children. So I said, very simple, Memory. There's a lot of people who can't stay at home. They've got to go to work. So look after their children. And long story short, she started off very small, just looking after neighbors' kids and this. She's now got a creche with 66 children in it, and she has just bought herself an abundance. She picks up the kids in the morning, delivers them back in the afternoon, bit by bit, and she is doing a roaring trade. So it just goes to show, you really put your mind to it. This is a land of wealth and abundance, and I think people have to understand that. This is a land of wealth and abundance. It's out there. If you're not taking it, just look in the mirror, because that's the person who's holding you back.
Absolutely. Margaret, the one thing that I am picking up that I love how you're sharing a story is that you didn't say it's an overnight. You go from today you're broke and tomorrow you're a multi-billionaire. What I'm hearing and as you're sharing, it's constantly building. It's building. And I think a lot of people, and I don't want to put anyone into an age group and say it's a millennials thing or it's a Zennials thing. I think people overall have this thing of I'm broke today. They see the wealth in someone else, but they don't always want to put in the time, the energy, the effort. Like you said, now you sleep 4 hours a night, 7 days a week. I just wonder how many people would go, oh, I think I'd rather sleep more because my sleep's more comfortable than having my financial freedom. Would you agree?
But you see, a lot of people do say that, but it's a choice in life. I mean, you could choose to sleep your life away, and then when you get to you're old one day, when I work with entrepreneurs, when they first come to me, and the first thing I say to them is, what is their passion? What are they passionate about? Because you've got to work your passion. To me, it's not like working. I just love every day and what I do every day, so it's not like working. Secondly, I say to them, they've got to write me an essay. And the essay starts, I'm 90 years old, sitting on my front porch, looking back on my life. And they've got to write it backwards. You see, they all want to write it forwards. And I say, no, that's not how you write it backwards. Because once you've written it backwards and it finishes, and I usually work in schools, so it's got to finish. And I was 16 years old at Mamelodi High School or whatever. But they've written it backwards. They've actually set the steps that they wish to follow to get to where they want to be. You've got to start, Dr. Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind. And that's what a lot of people do. They start at the beginning and they're not quite sure where they're going. It's like calling the Uber. You're sitting in the Uber now. This is the Uber of your life. And God's saying, where do you want to go? And you're saying, shit, I don't know, take me anywhere. And that's why most people don't get to where they want to be because they're going. It's very simple. No.
Well, but in terms of, sorry, Bjorn, but in terms of what I find interesting, especially when people have successes and people are well known, people sometimes, and I'm making a gross assumption here, but a lot of the time people go, oh, Margaret's got money. She never has a bad day. They'll coin it like something like that. Yeah. What do you do that inspires you when you're having a bad day? Like when you're getting up and going, okay, cool. I'm not feeling it today. Let me do this and this. What inspires you to actually get up and go?
Well, sometimes you inspire, you get up and go, and it's going to be a beautiful day. And then something happens. And I mean, it happened to me in 1988 where really come from nothing. We bought a house of our dreams. I paid for my cars. Our business was doing well. I had 2 million rand in the bank. And somebody said, you know, why don't you expand into Pietermaritzburg? So I went, and there was a place for sale, which did exactly what I was doing. And I went to the man, and he said, oh, I've got 3 sons, but, you know, I can see they're never going to take over my business. I'm happy to sell it. I said, how much do you want for it? He said, 2 million rand. I looked in my bank. I had 2 million rand in my bank. And in 1988, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
It must be made in heaven. So I looked at these books, and they all looked very kosher. So I signed the piece of paper, gave him the 2 million rand. And as I did that, he released 3 million rands worth of checks, which I was now responsible for because I owned the company.
Oh, wow.
So he took my 2 million rand, but he released 3. So I went from having 2 million rand in the bank to minus 3 million. So people said, oh, you started with 900 rand. I did, but I also went to a stage where I was minus 3 million and had to start all over
Wow.
again. Now, the reason I tell people that in life will pull a carpet from underneath you, whether it's a divorce, it's, you know, somebody swindling you out of all your money, whatever. You know, as Les Brown says, if you can look up, you can get up, and you just have to get up and keep going forward. And that's all you can do. You have to do that. You just have to keep going forward. So we sort of pulled ourselves up, you know, you sort of feel like you've been pulled through a bush backwards, and we got ourselves together, and we said, how can we start going again? I said, Ellen, you know, if we've done it once, we can do it again. And we started again. And, you know, it took us 10 years to make that first 2 million. We made the second 2 million within 2 years. So, you know, once you know how to do it, you can do it again. We did it again, and we went from strength to strength. So you've just got to keep going. And there are days when, you know, you get up feeling fine, and then something happens and really knocks the wind out of your sails. I mean, with COVID, I mean, I remember that first day after COVID, after lockdown, I got up, you know, I thought, wow, what a fabulous day. I can do my own thing. I can read, which I love to do. And suddenly at about 10 o'clock, it hit me like a wet fish. Oh my God, I have got bills to pay at the end of this month, and I'm not going to have any money coming in. Then you take a deep breath, and you say, what can I do? And you start to just strategize. Okay, this is what we need to do to get this done. You know, and there again, starting with the end in mind. What did I need to do? I had to have money to pay my bills at the end of that month. I have my salary bills in millions. It's millions and millions. You don't even want to know how many. How am I going to pay these people? How am I going to pay my creditors so they don't close me down? And we just had to start to strategize and like a Rubik's Cube, juggle all the bits until we got it right. Yeah. I think also to answer the question even more is I think meditating really does help. I meditate every morning without fail. And I say to people, they say, what is meditating? I say, it's clearing your mind of the junk and the clutter. And as you know, imagine how dirty your body would be if you've never washed it. Well, that's how dirty your mind is if you've never meditated, because it's just full of all these thoughts whizzing around in 1,000 different directions. I think if you can meditate, it calms it all down. It brings you down to level. And then it clears your mind so that you have good thoughts, and you only put the good thoughts back. Like when you declutter your house. When I came to live in my farmhouse where I am now over lockdown, I hadn't lived here for 35 years. You must know how much junk I'd accumulated. And the first thing I had to do was every room out, everything out. I got 16 bags of rubbish out of my kitchen, just out of my kitchen. So you must know. And you've got to start fresh. Your mind, you've got to start fresh as well. You've got to clear the junk out of your mind. All those bad thoughts. Forgive all those people who caused you shit. You don't have to worry about them anymore. Just put the good thoughts, the positive thoughts. Yeah. Most important, know where you want to go. You've got to, if you don't know where you want to go, you're never going to get there. Very simple.
Margaret, on that note, do you have a vision board that you had? Like,
I
love that you spoke about.
Yeah, as I'm sitting here, I have all my goals, and I have a sheet written down of things that I do every single day. And it's got a column of about 20 things in it. And then on the side here, as I'm sitting here, I have my vision board. So I've got a picture of Jane Fonda that was taken when she was 83, because I'm 70 this year. So I want to look like she looked when she's 83.
I love it.
Wow.
I've got a picture of my friend who's a bodybuilder with her body with my face on it. I have got a copy of what's going to be my results for my MBA, where I've passed cum laude. I've got a picture of my new car, which I've just ordered, which is only coming into the country at the end of the year. Yes, I definitely have a vision board. I've got all those big, hairy, audacious goals that I want, to do. I've got all the ladies that I'm providing with the sanitary pads that I do on a regular basis. I love feeding children, so I'm going to feed all these children. So I've got all these children that I'm going to feed. So yeah, I definitely have a vision board, and I look at it every day.
Incredible. Wow.
One of the things One of the things that I just want to sort of touch on, and I just want your opinion about this, Margaret, is COVID has done tremendous damage to so many people's businesses and lives in the world. But yet, if you had to maybe take a reframe on and a look from that, one of the things that I've recognized, especially for me and my environment and the people I deal with, is mindfulness. And you mentioned the way that you do life and the way that you take things on. Do you also experience that people are being more required, and businesses are more required to be mindful of what they're doing and how they're doing what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, with social media now, everything is very transparent. You can't bluff. You cannot bluff. I mean, we even had a cell phone that was stolen from one of our girls at work, and we tracked it through the GPS that we got there with the cops and got that cell phone back from a shack in the middle of Mamelodi Township.
Wow.
How they did that, but they took us. So, I mean, you can't hide anything today. Google knows exactly where you are. I mean, Google sends me a report every month of where I've been, what I've eaten in the restaurants, all the towns I've been to. Google knows everything.
That's crazy.
You can't hide anything away. So you've got to be very open. You've got to be very transparent. And, I think if you know that, you're just more careful of what you do. They say integrity is doing what you should be doing when nobody's looking. Before you could get away with things. Today you can't. There's Big Brother's always watching you wherever you are. So you've got to be transparent. You've got to be mindful. You've got to be kind to people. And I think if you had to say, what is the one word that I've found over COVID, is I'm much kinder to people than I was. I have more empathy with them. I don't go out, people think when you're wealthy, you're going to go out handing money left, right, and center. No, I always say, I don't give you the fish, but I'll teach you to fish. And I've worked with so many women over this time who've been really struggling, where I've said to them, look, why don't you try this? I mean, just take one of my friends, it was a stylist. She used to take the women who look mediocre and style them, make them look pretty, do their hair, do their clothes and everything. When COVID hit, she didn't have a business, but her mother, she had cancer and she needed a mask. And she went to one of the stores where they put the price of masks up from 295 Rand to 2,950. When COVID hit and everyone had masks. And she said, I can't afford that. So she went home and she got her sewing machine out. She sewed her mother a mask. And from that, she sewed for her kids as well. And from that, the neighbor said, well, would you sew me a mask? And long story short, she's now got the contract for schools, for hospitals, and her business is thriving. So through little things like that, people have been resilient and they have managed to do things. I mean, with the fogging machines, okay, it costs, I think, what did we pay? We paid 10,000 Rand for our fogging machine, but we can fog all our stores with it now. And we're fogging in friends' stores, we're fogging friends' houses, we fogged our own houses, So there's so many different things that you can do. And of course, the nurses, the laboratories, they've done incredibly well. You think all of my staff, and I've got thousands, have all had the COVID test at least once. And it's 895 Rand a test. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made there.
True story.
Yeah.
True story.
Wow.
Margaret, tell me something. Do you have any, for people that are going to be listening, as you know, it's going to be available afterwards, some form of books, podcasts, motivational material that you listen to? Because people are always asking, where can I go for resource? Could you share some things that I'd inspire you, or that you could recommend?
Yes, well, I trained with Tony Robbins in the States. I've done his course 3 times, his Date with Destiny, Unleash the Power Within, all those courses I've done.
Yeah.
So I do follow him a lot. Ryan Walsh has been giving a lot of free webinars now, so you can always, he's always got something on the go. I follow Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is the guy who taught Tony Robbins, and his stuff is old now. He died in 2009, but what he says is just down to earth. It's basic. Anybody can understand it. Dr. Stephen Covey, he is just wonderful. Yeah. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. His 8th habit as well. So there's a multitude. The one we're following at the moment, his name is, oh gosh, my husband's, it's a basketball player, but he's also on a webinar now. I think of it, Walter Bond. If you've never, a new one is Walter Bond. He is fantastic. Okay. He's a basketball player. So yes, but once you go, the nice thing about when you go onto YouTube, it'll give you a whole lot of similar things on the side.
Yes.
I watch a lot of TED Talks, and if anybody has watched my TED Talk, please watch it. I'm very proud of it. I did it way back 2012. And, you know, one of the women who was on with me, Lorraine Jenks, she just phoned me this week and said, we haven't seen each other since 2012. And I interviewed her on my show as well. So, and everybody follows me every day. I put out every morning before 7 o'clock, I put out 10 things. I put in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I do a fashion blog, a motivational blog, a vlog for my staff, a decor blog, a vlog to go out to customers. I do 10 things in the morning before 7 o'clock. They're already out on
That's
the
crazy. Wow. Margaret, one other question that I have for you is I remember on another interview that I saw you on, it was with Claudia with BNI Cape Town.
Yes.
And I remember you saying something that has struck with me. You said this, you always encourage all of your staff to have a second business.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that?
Everybody should have 2 streams of income. You should never put all your eggs in one basket, because like with COVID now, it's hit. And then if you didn't have a second stream of income, what would you do? So even from my cashiers who come in and work, you know, it's quite a mundane sort of job, just being there every day. I encourage them to sell honey jewelry, Averish Lane, Herbalife, all those different type of things. As they get up and they start to make more money, I teach them to invest money, because we help all our staff to buy their own homes. I insist that they buy their own home. I don't want them renting forever. So we help them to work out how they buy their own home. They buy their motor cars. And then they've got money left over to do something else. So for instance, the manager of my store in Umhlanga, he owns a furniture factory as well. So, but it works both ways, because now if I need furniture manufactured for my store, he knows how to do it. He can help, he can put a counter here and there. So yeah, I think all of them, I mean, I have people who work for me as PROs who have got social media companies. I have one of my staff who's a salesman who is a master of ceremonies for weddings on weekends. So, you know, everybody has something, a passion that they do. Sometimes you've got to come to work and you're not, you know, everybody says, oh, it's fine, Margret, today live your passion, but I need to pay the rent. Well, come and do your day job and pay the rent. But then you've got, you know, 24 hours in a day. Even if you sleep like a normal person 8 hours a night, you're going to work for 8 hours. And you sleep for 8 hours. You've got another 8 hours. What the hell are you doing with that time? You can only watch so much Netflix. I mean, you know, you're going to get. What are you going to do? If you can do woodwork and sell it. If you can do beading and sell it. If you can sew. You know, there's always something that you can do. And of course, now cooking. You know, I had a guy phone me the other day when lockdown started. I sold him his stove 12 years ago. He didn't know how to switch it on. He never switched it on. He said, now I've got to cook for myself. I can't go out for meals anymore. And then, so he started, wow, he's an avid cook. Every day he's writing to me, Margret, what recipe can I do today? I'm trying to make gnocchi today. I'm trying to do this, you know. So his whole life, he didn't even know he liked cooking until he had to. So COVID's done a lot of things like that. And people have had time to live their passion. I've had people crocheting blankets and knitting socks and all sorts of things, yeah. You must always have 2 streams of income. You never know one's going to dry up. You have to have something to fall back.
Margret, so one thing I want to ask is, what is something that nobody knows about you? And I'm sure you've had this question before, but if you had to share a little tidbit of something that you could maybe share with tongue-in-cheek kind of moment, what is something that nobody knows?
I think everybody knows everything about me because I'm very out there. I really have no secrets, you know. Even with my staff, they're all related to each other. You know, my domestic worker, her daughter works for me, she works in the branch. So everybody knows everything that I'm doing. As I said, everything is so transparent today. I don't think there's anything that people don't know about me. But I love to walk in the bush. That's what I do when I've got nothing. At the moment, I'm on my game farm. I have my own game farm in the Midlands of KwaZulu-Natal. I love it. I love walking in the bush. I love walking with my dog. I love going to see my animals. I have zebra, giraffe, a whole lot of species of buck. I love bird watching. So I think, you know, those are the things that people don't see me doing every day. But, and also there's just been a recent article on me in the Gadget magazine in Durban about on my farm cooking, you know, all the different stuff, because I'm vegan. So I don't eat meat, chicken, fish, or have milk or eggs or cheese or yogurt or anything like that. I only eat plant-based stuff. So, yeah, I think there's those things that people don't know when they first meet me. But once you get to know me, you know that I'm very passionate about that as well. Not fanatical, but I'm very passionate about eating a plant-based diet. So that's probably the most different thing. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I would love to chat more. Bjorn, do we have any more questions? Do we have any questions on the chat?
Yes. No, Kev, there's nothing that's been on the chat. I think everyone's just been listening and just taking in. But Margaret, I want to ask you this. You mentioned that you had an event coming up tomorrow. Can you tell us more about events that are coming up so people in future that they could, tune in? I remember previously you spoke about you interviewed someone every day on Facebook, if I remember correctly.
So
just tell us a bit more about that. And
yeah, every day at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll interview a famous woman, a woman who's done something amazing that I know. Because remember, I run lots of women's groups. So I meet amazing women. And there's such a fabulous woman coming through. I mean, like Delegate today that I interviewed, she's got a waste business where they recycle waste. And she's just doing so incredibly well at this time because people are chucking out a lot of stuff and she's recycling it. So every single day I interview somebody at 9 o'clock. It's called my coffee chat, and they come in and we have coffee and we chat about what they're doing. All right. At lunchtime, I do sort of different lunchtime venues like I'm doing this today. And then in the afternoons, I also I had a lot of women in business and I had business winners. So what I do with my winners is, that normally we'd have a gala dinner and we'd all get together and we wear our fancy dresses and I choose winners, but we can't do that now with COVID. So what I've done is I interview them in the afternoons and we just have a chat and they find out they're all successful. So it's so nice. If you want to be successful, you've got to hang around successful people. So they're all very successful and they're doing extremely well. And they tell other people what they're doing and it gives other people ideas. And then, so I run a women in business club, which is on next Wednesday at 11 o'clock. So all the women who are in business, who are stuck at home, we get together because, women like to chat. We just like to chat about things. If you say to a man, I've got this problem, they say, this is a solution, off you go. Whereas women, we like to chew it, chewing the cud. We just chew it over. So we have a lot of women in business functions. And then, as I said, tomorrow is my big one. Every Friday, I run an Entrepreneurs Club, where we had over 10,000 views on our Entrepreneurs Club. So I was just thinking also 10,000 views I had on my cooking. So I cooked like this week, I cooked with Chef and Tea, who is a wonderful African chef. She's on DSTV. She has her own program on Channel 160. And she and I cooked, and that was just amazing because there was no electricity. We just carried on. We cooked on the gas stove. We recorded on our laptops and our phones and everything.
I love that.
It was incredible. And then with my entrepreneurs, that's the best one because I work with Action Coach, and Marlene from Action Coach is a top action coach in the world out of all the thousands of people in 82 countries. Incredible. So it's free. We teach people how to train themselves and how to make their business successful in this time. So we do that as well. And then I have my Women of Worth groups where they're women who are accomplished and we just help each other because, whatever level you're at, we all have the same sort of problems. I have so many staff and I don't know how I'm going to pay them or how to work with them. I have, my business is getting bigger and bigger. I'm making this money. How do I invest it? Do I take money offshore? Those sort of things. So with my Women in Worth, we talk about business things like that. So yeah, I work in lots of different groups with different people, mostly helping them. And I mean, my women are from women who run spas or shops to women who earn 2 million rand a month. And they just, business is business across the board. So we help them to get their business, to keep their business.
Awesome.
Wow. So, I just want to, I love chatting to you, Margaret, and Bjorn, I'm sure you could, share the sentiment here that we could both just sit here and listen. We should join these women groups, I think.
I was like, if I wore a weave, could I come along?
I mean, I'm wearing pink. It should count for something, right? But in the takeaways that I'm really taking away here is, Margaret, you're saying that, you help your staff with another business. And, the first thing that comes to mind is, there's enough sunshine for everyone. And, why not just share the love kind of thing? For me, that's such a beautiful takeaway. And the fact that, kindness, I think people forget that, more than ever, we need more kindness in the world. And how essential that is for business, for life, for relationships, for achieving anything.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are going through a lot of angst at this time. A lot of people are on, as you say, fearful, they're nervous, they're concerned, they don't know which way to turn. And everybody processes their grief. And it is grief because we're grieving the life. I mean, I grieve the life I used to live. I used to work Monday, Tuesday, Joburg, Wednesday, Thursday, Cape Town, Friday, Saturday, Durban, 1 week of the month out the country. I was going to Milan, I was going to America, I was going to, around Africa to help women. I had to grieve the life that I lost, but then I had to accept the life that I have now, which is being on, on shows like this. And I just love it. And you've just got to go with it. But a lot of people don't know how to process that. I had a woman come in she was just so furious because her toaster had broken. She was throwing it around and swearing at everybody. And it was her way it wasn't a toaster, but she was taking out her anger and her grief on that.
Frustration, yeah.
I have another friend who does nails, and she said a lady broke her nail, and she came in and she screamed and shouted about her because she said, it wasn't a broken nail. It was just, she had so much that she wanted to take out. And this was one thing she could focus her anger on. I think people process, the concern and the worry about COVID in different ways, because everybody is fearful that they're going to get it. And when they've got it, people have got over it have come to me. And the one guy just cried. He said, it changed my life. I just realized that God put me on this earth for a purpose. I was just going through the motion of my life. But when COVID hit me, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then I thought, I don't want to die. I'm going to carry on and I'm going to get through this. So people process it. Different people eat, with the lockdown, everybody put on weight over lockdown. So they ate as a comfort. So you don't know what people are going through. And if you're just nice and kind and empathize with them, it just helps them so much. And I think, that's one of the big things I've learned.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. So essentially, just to wrap this up for today, Margret, where do we get hold of you? I mean, we could just Google you, quite obviously, but I know that you have your own searches. And what's going to be the quickest for us to know about your events and to connect with you?
Yeah, always Facebook. I'm a Facebook person. Everything goes on Facebook. Yeah. Everything I'm doing is on Facebook. So you can go and have a look at my Facebook page. And I do lots of interviews like this and I put it on. So I have people who don't ever watch them. I have people who say, I binge watch the whole weekend. I just watch all the things that you've done.
I love it.
So, I think that's easy. But I'm on Instagram, Twitter as Margret Hirsch, at Margret Hirsch as well. So you can get hold of me anyway. And my phone number is out there. I'm online all the time. So anywhere I can help, just WhatsApp me and I'll come back to you.
Wow. Fantastic. Thank you. Wow. Fantastic. It's so amazing. Cool.
Great.
Just to close off today's show, Bjorn, don't you want to tell us what is the next week holding for us and what's in store for us?
Absolutely. So next week we're really excited. We've got a lady called Ingrid von Steen, and she's actually the owner of eBiz Radio. And Margret, that's actually where this will get uploaded to as a podcast. So that we're there forever and a day. So we're really excited to have her on the show. And what's exciting about that is that she's really going to be sharing her heart about the relevancy of our podcasts feature in today's business. The way, it's lunchtime marketing. So it's all about marketing tips. And I don't think people have actually picked up on the value. Margret, I can hear from what you said earlier, you get social media, you're talking about your vlogs that you do and the blogs that you do. And what's really great about a podcast is that it just taps into people that's auditory listeners, people that learn from an auditory space, who can just put it on and listen, or people that want to re-listen in the background, And so I'm very excited we're going to have her on the show next week, and we're just going to be hearing lots of exciting things. So, and the next week, we'll be revealing what's happening in October, November, and December. We've got a really great lineup coming up. So I'm super excited.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
And then lastly, anything new that's happening in your world, Bjorn?
Yeah, we're actually on some really exciting events that's going to be coming up, and we'll be sharing about that kind of going forward. And also I'm finishing off my website, my new website, both my business and me personally. And that's going to be really exciting for all the MC stuff and all the other stuff that I've done to kind of house it and put it all together. So now the deadline is to be 1st of September. So now it's the hard blog to keep finishing, keep going. So yes. Margret, I'm beginning to understand the relevancy of 4 hours of sleep. It's a privilege.
So a lot of time to get things done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just from my side, I'm involved with a new project that's starting, and I'll speak more about it when I know more about it. But we're doing training for the Western Capes, all the schools in the Western Cape. So I'm really excited about that and to be part of that. It's going to make a huge impression on how teachers handle their students and how they engage. So really excited about that, and some nice stuff coming on the website with new programs and remote programs that I've put together for some international clients. So I'm really excited about that. But Thank you for today, Margaret. I must honor you and just mention that, you know, Gary Vee. I don't know if you know Gary Vee, but he speaks. He's a motivational entrepreneur, very successful. He speaks online. And one of the things people go, yeah, but you know, I'm older and I don't know about social media, and you know, I'm not so au fait with doing Facebook. And he, you know, he tells older people, and he goes, you know, when you started driving a car, that didn't occur to you you know, but it's something you actually learned. You can learn how to use social media. So, you know, I'm kind of going, okay, well, Margret Hirsch is the exact example of this, you know, do not come up with excuses that you're too old or you're too this, or it's like, just do it, you know, there's so much waiting for you.
I just want to say, I won Influential Woman in Business in 2014, but the man who won Most Influential Man in Business was Richard Mapanya, who I was at that stage 64. He was 94 and still going to work every day. Wow. And he was my inspiration to keep on going, because at 64, everybody says, oh, you're over 60, you must start slowing down. Now at 65, are you going to retire? And I said, no, Richard Mapanya still at work every day at 95, and he died recently at age 99, and he was still working every single day. So, and he was so
no excuses.
Do everything. So yeah, and they say we're going to live today. If you're alive today, you're going to live to over 100. So you've got a long haul still ahead of you guys.
I'm sorry. I'm going to watch this back and just feel like, if I feel, I want to feel a bit better about my day or my life at the moment, then I'm just going to watch Margret Hirsch's video. Because it's
absolutely
well done, and thank you for the inspiration.
All of a sudden, none of us ever have excuses. You're just like, be like Margret for president. I'm like, I'm rooting for you, Margret for president. Absolutely.
Margret, thank you so much.
I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope the people who watched enjoyed it, and those that we share it with, I hope they'll enjoy it too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for making the time. We really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. Chat to you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.